Hello, I'm X Toycat, and in the next update, they're going to be adding ladders, chests, and crafting tables that can be made out of each type of wood. I mean, after all, it doesn't make sense that if you put 4 jungle or acacia wood together, it makes a crafting table that is clearly made out of oak, and so here are all the new variants of those woods, and wow, this looks so realistic, except this is actually just a concept that has been had time and time and time again in all of these different images by all of these different people. People have suggested this same idea because that, alongside new dog breeds and 48 other ideas, are things that we've just all come up with at some point, but the Mojang has directly or indirectly stated why they won't do them, because there are some great ideas, like, I mean, shouldn't a lot of different dogs be an objective improvement? They did it with cats, so why not with dogs? And the answer to that is, well, clearly they think that, you know, the wolf is one of those integral bits of Minecraft that's been around so long that it would confuse new players if they came back and they didn't see their one trusty wolf, because that's your old companion, and so you can see why, okay, fine, we can leave the dogs behind, they're so lovely and trustworthy, but why don't we have emerald and copper armor? I mean, pretty much every mineral you can find underground can be crafted into armor and into tools and weapons. Why is it that emeralds and copper cannot be made into those things? Because it'd be so fun to have emerald armor or to have copper tools, and the answer is that actually, would it really? Emerald is specifically designed as a currency, and copper is specifically designed for the weird kind of utility / degradation function that they have, and so would it make a lot of sense to be able to use those things? You might still say yes, but where would they fit on the armor spectrum? The last time they added tools and armor, which they've done precisely once in the last decade, was obviously to make the netherite tools, and that was better than diamond in every way. Would you really want a set of armor that was worse than iron, or slightly better than iron, but worse than diamonds? I don't think most people would benefit from that in a huge way, and that is why we haven't seen emerald and copper armor and tools. In the same way, I think that a really good idea would be placeable milk buckets. I mean, the logic is that everything else you can place in a bucket, whether that is snow, lava, fish, or even water, you can place it down on the ground and you get precisely 1 meter cubed of it, because that is how much a Minecraft bucket can hold. Why is it that you have to drink the entire milk bucket, and why can't you place it down instead? And well, if you place down milk, ignoring the questionable way that it looks, you could also just make the argument that you wouldn't really need to do this because it would be exactly the same as water, and that's why I think it needs to come with a key caveat that you can dye milk, and so you can effectively have water that is red or purple or lime green or bright yellow. I mean, that's a different type of water, but I think that the way you can make this special is make it dyeable, and then let's also say, because milk has magic healing properties for poison in Minecraft, it would also cure your effects just by going inside of it, and so it'd be useful for bases as well. Placeable milk is something that only makes sense despite the fact that it doesn't sound like it makes sense. In the same category as this, I would say Dyeable Wood is something that is not just an idea from the community, but it's something that came from Minecraft themselves a long time back. The reason they decided not to do it was because they didn't have the proper block IDs to deal with all of these types of dyeable wood. However, nowadays we could totally do that. And I think to even make it less complex, let's just say birchwood, which is the closest thing there is to white. You can dye that in any color to make purple or pink or lime green wood, like we said before, and then you'd be able to do much more creative things while still having that woody texture. Is this within the point of Minecraft to have unlimited creativity or to have a specific few sets of blocks? You can definitely argue this back and forth, but something that can't be argued is how cool it would be to add a red dragon boss to Minecraft. The origins of this idea come from when the Ender Dragon was first announced. It was going to be the first of many dragons, just the big one that is in the end, and there was going to be a red dragon which was perhaps in the overworld. Later, the idea was kind of scrapped and then brought back and scrapped and brought back a few different times. However, adding a dragon to Minecraft is a huge undertaking, and that's the reason people generally say it's not possible. And as much as I would love another overworld boss, I do think another dragon isn't the most creative way to do it, especially given dragons have to fly through and break various things. It just doesn't make sense the way they collide with things. Let's have a new, unique boss for the overworld, but let's do that, you know? What a good idea. Speaking of good ideas, boat chests and lava boats. Boat chests are one of those ideas that everyone had at different points in time, and that's why it's so funny to me that they finally are getting around to adding them. However, lava boats are in the same category where people say, hey, we have this type of wood that does not burn, why can't we craft it into lava boats? And the official response from Minecraft is that, well, we added striders, which are kind of like boats, but obviously they require a saddle and they require a fishing rod to actually work, so would it be fun if we could just make a boat that goes in lava? Yes. Would it be OP? Probably not too much if you gave it some balancing factors, like it was slightly slower because it was lava, and there we go, now you've got some really good ideas to add to your boat chests. Speaking of weird things you can do with wood, I think that vertical slabs and quarter slabs are an idea that every single person has come up with, because you say to yourself, okay, we can have the half slab when it's placed down, or when it's placed on the top half of a block, we can have the 3/4 slab, also known as the stair, why can't we have the quarter slab, and then why can't we have a half slab that goes sideways? The official explanation is that they want to have as many full blocks as possible because Minecraft is a block building game and not a partial block building game. However, they continuously add different types of partial blocks, whether it's trapdoors, whether it's the honey blocks, whatever else it is, and so why can't we have another type of partial block that could allow people to do so much more within the existing palettes? And the reason is, well, let's not think about it too much. Speaking of things we don't think about too much, the Aether Dimension. This was a really fun concept that came from when Notch was originally designing the end dimension. He made it out of dirt and he had like clouds below it, and it kind of made this heavenly looking dimension. Again, the terrain was just being tested in that way so that they could make the end later, but so many people liked the idea that they later made an entire dimension out of it for various mods that you could enter via a glowstone portal, and one of the developers behind the most famous of those mods actually started working on Minecraft. Will we see the Aether in Minecraft as a result? Well, I mean, probably not. Is it a good idea anyway? Hell yeah, you better believe it is. Speaking of great ideas, I think that guns and bullets are not one of them, because people always say, let's add guns to the game. We have gunpowder, let's have the pew pew, and it's a fun idea, I guess, on the surface. And I think if you do have a really old and prehistoric Minecraft weapon, so like, you know, you were talking about black pipe powder rifles that have to be reloaded after every shot, you could maybe do them thematically. However, Minecraft have repeatedly said guns don't have any place in Minecraft because they already have enough people saying that there's violence in the game just from hitting each other with swords. I'm sure adding guns would cause all sorts of other concerns that they don't want to go after, given how heavily they tried to market towards children. Speaking of marketing towards children, volcanoes and eruptions. Do you know what's cool? Volcanoes. Do you know what's not so cool? Thinking about what a volcano would do to your Minecraft world. If there was a volcano eruption, it would look really cool for a few seconds and you'd see lava everywhere and it would be visually stunning, but like, could that lava then burn your house? Almost certainly. Should your house be able to be burned by a random natural disaster? Probably not. And that's why, in fact, the next one here is all localized weather and natural disasters. I think natural disasters shouldn't be allowed to happen. I think that sometimes there is an argument that localized weather is a good idea. Like, why is it the entire world rains at one time? But I think that natural disasters, whether it's volcanoes or whether it's hurricanes, generally aren't a fun idea unless it's just a new type of weather which doesn't affect things, just like how right now we don't really have any effect besides when it snows really high up, you get snow on your stuff, which admittedly is Minecraft breaking their own principle there again. But if we're talking about how they broke their own principles, wouldn't the best example be the dragon egg? This is one of the big mysteries in the game. What happens when you hatch the egg? You get one of them for killing the dragon, and what does it do? The answer is we still don't know. You could add this to the game, make it a tameable, rideable dragon, kind of like how the dragon's mount works. You know, there's like a lot of fun mods that show off how you could have a rideable dragon, and obviously this would be OP as all heck, so you'd have to make it very hard to do, and so maybe it's been hiding in the game this whole time. That would be a fun mystery if it were true. However, there is no hatchable dragon egg yet, which is a great shame in my opinion. Just like how it's a great shame that we only have a dozen or so structures in Minecraft, wouldn't it be great if structures were so random and so variable that you could genuinely find a new one every time you played? I think a structure update is a great idea where they could add hundreds of different structures to the game. However, the reason they've generally given as to why they won't do this, as fun as it would be to encounter random things like this all the time, is because of the fact that they would have to do a lot of development. There's a lot of different things that goes into structure placement. It's not just designing a thing that can place around the world, it's working out how it should build into the natural terrain, where it should spawn, when it should spawn, etc, etc, etc. However, I think they could do some really fun things by at least making structure variants, but they have yet to do that, just like how they have yet to add bluestone to the game. We have redstone, so you know what logically comes next, whatever the opposite of red is, which is apparently blue. No, the reason bluestone is a logical choice is because sometimes redstone can be a really annoying mechanic because your redstone paths have to go over other redstone paths and it causes all sorts of confusion. What if there was a bluestone which worked exactly like redstone but could co-inhabit the same paths and go to different places, so you'd have different redstone systems overlapping on the same blocks. You could also have it go up walls, for instance, or we could just say redstone on walls as an entire separate idea here. You know, there's so many fun things you can do, but I think that redstone Bluestone as a whole, they want to work the system to make it more user-friendly, not even harder, and so that is why it's not necessarily happening. Just like how backpacks are a really fun idea that have happened in so many mods, because of course, it's a way to store items around with you, but isn't a backpack effectively just a shulker box, except it would be adding more confusion, because what does a shulker box do that a backpack doesn't? And once you really get into it, you get more and more confusion as to why you wouldn't just craft an inventory full of backpacks, unless you then said, well, okay, only works as extra inventory while it's on your back, in which case, yeah, would you trade in your Elytra for extra, storage? Maybe sometimes you would, and then we've got interesting decisions being made. Instead, they decided to focus on the bundles, which is going not so great right now, but things that also aren't going so great are the seasons in the real world, but mostly in Minecraft. They've wanted to have some form of variable weather, like I said, and the way they considered to be most interesting to do this would be with the form of seasons and maybe even tides, where obviously as your time goes on, the day-night cycle changes a little bit. The season means you'll get different colors and weather patterns and ambient things like that. However, because of Minecraft's lack of ambient weather and mostly plants, it means you wouldn't be really changing too much. We already have winter mode in the game, which just changes the taiga to be white when it snows, and that adds something. Could we do a lot by having 4 types? Maybe, but it doesn't seem to be a priority, just like how it's not a priority to have more tameable mobs. Everyone loves taming mobs, that's why there's so many suggestions about dog breeds and cat breeds and llama breeds. Everyone wants more breeds of animals they can tame. I personally try to dream a bit bigger, and I like the idea of us being able to tame mountain lions. Just saying, tameable mountain lions, add them to the game now. But yeah, the reason that Mojang is generally against taming is because they want to give a realistic portrayal of what you can do with an animal, and the only real animals that are super friendly house pets are, cats, dogs, and parrots, and even then they get in all sorts of trouble with various animal groups, and Minecraft tries to be a good example, and the best way to be a good example is to bend into any pressure that anyone gives you and stop doing what you want to do if they say they don't like it. That is what I've always said, and I'm glad that Mojang agrees. Speaking of things that they agree with, another game mode is clearly necessary. Ever since the beginning, Minecraft's specialty is that there are different game modes. If you just want to use Minecraft like it's Lego, play in creative, it's fun. You want to play Minecraft like it's a challenging game, survival, hard, or hardcore difficulty even. In the beginning, they suggested having maybe like a base capture the flag game mode, or a mode where you both build a base and you have to fight online against strangers, and I think having game modes like this would be fun. In fact, if you look at the success of Minecraft console mini games, whether that's Battle or Tumble or Glide, people love just being able to play a game that is built inside Minecraft against other people. I think, seriously, they are lacking this huge multiplayer functionality, which they're currently only allowing to happen on servers. Let's have a new game mode. I think that we are well overdue. Speaking of things we're overdue on, I think that Rubies are fun, and they weren't initially added to Minecraft because Dinnerbone, who was one of just a few developers working on the game, was colorblind, and so you can't have Rubies because we've got Redstone. Wait, I've told this story a ton of times now, but if you're colorblind and they're both red, isn't that just as confusing as, whatever. Anyway, so long story short, to make it easier to tell them apart, emeralds were added instead of rubies, and rubies have sat in the game textures ever since, but they could be used as just a new valuable resource that you find underground. What would you do with it? You could use it maybe for special enchanting. You could use it specifically to trade with villagers. You can use it to make tools and armor if you want to be the redundant idea that we suggested earlier, but having rubies in general is a good idea. Just like how realistic gravity in physics is one that sounds like it's a good idea on the surface, because why is it that only sand, anvils, and gravel are affected by gravity? Also concrete powder. Can't we have more blocks that drop realistically, like the real world? The answer as to why this isn't happening is because it would probably make Minecraft less interesting if you couldn't make floating islands and all sorts of other things. Of course, they don't make any actual sense in the real world, but you know what? This is Minecraft. It's a fun game, and you don't need to go realism on everything. And if you are going to, why not use it to make more types of lush greenery, like more wood types and trees? One of the solutions to the wood problem from earlier is not having dyeable wood, but instead having different types of wood. What if we had ash trees, sycamore trees, fir trees inside of the game? They could all come with their own types of wood, and I don't think it's actually a huge amount of effort to say, hey, we have this area where a different type of tree can spawn and it's got a different wood type on the inside, because again, it's not hard to make slabs and stairs. Once you have a default texture, you just need to texture the tree, the leaves, and the main plank type, and boom, there we go. go. Combine this idea with the, the one from earlier about chests, crafting tables, and ladders, and now we have so much customization on how we make all of those things, and I also think it can make the Minecraft world feel more real. However, we have seen how hard it is for them to play around with the world generation engine. It took them a full year to do so for 1.18, and so we could see how the difficulty could come from that, and so maybe a better realism idea is realistic liquid physics. Why is it that Minecraft water looks like this? I just don't understand what we're going for here. Shouldn't it work like the real world? Also, why is it that 2 water can make an infinite amount of it? We are now at a point where we could say that actually no, water is a finite resource in Minecraft. You've got to actually move your fluid from the ocean or a mountain or wherever to where you want it. That could actually be fun. And when we're talking about realistic water, we have to mention another popular idea. What if as well as a hunger bar, we had a thirst bar? Because man, do I get thirsty sometimes in real life. Why don't I get thirsty in Minecraft? I think this is a bad idea because it's just a needless restriction on the game. But if there was a thirst mechanic that could do something good for you, like drinking milk, for instance, would give you other benefits, maybe you could do something with that. I don't think it's the best of ideas. However, I think a good idea would be another way to get more permanent hearts. You've seen the YouTube trend of, oh, Minecraft, but my hearts are all SpongeBob SquarePants, or whatever they all are. People love the idea of having more health and your health being modifiable, because right now we just have golden apples and enchanted golden apples and the absorption effect. What if there was a better way to get more permanent hearts? Maybe every 25 levels could count for an extra heart or something like that to reward the XP mechanic past 30. I'm just saying, there's some good ideas, but there's also the fun idea of dynamic lighting without shaders. This is so popular and is so commonly shot down, but why can a torch held in your hand not light up a cave? Why does it have to be placed down? And the answer is simply that Minecraft doesn't have dynamic lighting, but that's the same easy explanation as to why we don't have, for example, slope blocks in the game. We could easily have, instead of a stair, just have a direct diagonal, but we don't have them because, well, we haven't worked out the mechanics on how that would work, or the mechanics on how airships or air balloons would work. But I think all of these, alongside lack of temperature mechanics, are a great shame because people love each of those ideas. I mean, again, what if the temperature could do more than just make it snow or not? Really good idea. Sad that it's not in there. Just like this next idea, colored slime blocks. You've all seen the memes, right? Because it's called a slime, so there should be a blue and a red, and it's very funny in my opinion. But I think yellow slime blocks or blue slime blocks or red slime blocks actually would look really great. It's a simple suggestion. All you've got to do is make them dyeable or have different colors of slimes. Lord knows we're so bored of the green slimes. Why do they spawn everywhere in the new caves? And couldn't we fix them by just making different colors so you're actually excited to get different colors of slimes? Maybe that's adding too many items to the game, a problem that could be fixed with the bundle or backpack, but I digress. This next one is really simple, and wow, it's just hitting me how there really is 50 of these. Again, like, it's fun how much we share ideas like the larger piston push limit, right? Everyone who has played around Redstone will know that eventually a piston won't be able to push blocks anymore because there is a hard limit, and that limit is 12 blocks for how far a piston will push. Why not make it so we can push things further? The easiest answer would be, well, that would break existing builds. Why don't we have a more powerful piston that can push more than that? It's a simple idea, could do some really fun things, and in case you think, well, okay, let's just not play around with existing things, let's only add new ones, why don't we have the Kraken? I think a sea monster of some form would be fun, but what I also think would be fun is drawbridges. We've seen various mods play around with this concept. Tinker's Construct is the easiest example. Wow, look how fun drawbridges look. Could make your castles so much more realistic. I think we just need to have some mechanic like that, some kind of swinging up and down that you can use in all sorts of other builds, and a drawbridge is a great idea. Any form of mechanic that you can use to play around with Minecraft physics would be fun though. This next idea is a lot wackier, but you'd be surprised how often you hear it. Meteorites, asteroids, and comets. What if you could have your Minecraft build be destroyed by a giant meteorite? But no, more seriously, this could be a fun way to get rare resources that will randomly crash into the world. You'd have to make sure that it didn't ruin existing things, which would be very hard and is probably the reason they won't do it, but it would be fun to have some different materials that can only be obtained from a random kind of event like this. Next up, we have Herobrine. I mean, they removed him so many times. Why can't they add him back to the game? We also have the idea of more TNT types, because after all, TNT is just the one block to despite the fact that there are different things which need to be exploded, what if there were different types of TNT for different scenarios? I would suggest that TNT is something Minecraft probably regrets, because although there are so many fun things you can do with it, it's also been the source of so much griefing for so many players. Wouldn't it be easier if there was just no TNT? But if we are going to have TNT, like we do right now, what if we had different, stronger, less powerful, more targeted types, so you could do more fun things with it? I think that's a good idea. Just like how I also think it's a good idea to have more mob variants. We still only have one type of pig, one type of cow, and one type of, creeper, for example. Why don't we have a muddy pig, the highland cow, and the blue creeper? Okay, well, those all seem like they're mods and so unrealistic, except all three of those variants came from Minecraft Earth, the previous game that they only cancelled recently. These are Minecraft designs that should be in the base game, but just aren't for some reason. Just like, while we're talking about TNT and explosions, why don't we have crossbows that shoot explosive arrows? We have fire arrows, we have all these other different tipped arrows. Why not have a tiny explosive that you can tip on there? And again, this would make griefing easier, I'm sure. Maybe it should be disabled by default, but I just think there's a lot of fun that could be had with projectile explosives. I also think something that would be fun is proximity chat, because if you're playing on a Minecraft server, right now it's just server-wide chat or nothing. What if you could only hear people that are nearby you? This would be a much more fun way to collaborate, and instead of having the server-wide chat where people are spamming the no-no words that you cannot say in games, instead you have people actually trying to collaborate. Also, I think that you should be able to sleep in a bed whenever you want. I think it's full-on crazy that Minecraft insists the only time you can sleep is night. No, have you heard of the daytime? Have you heard of naps, Minecraft? What if you want to only have the nighttime phase so you can kill naturally spawning mobs? I think sleeping in a bed during the day just kind of makes sense. And yeah, if you want to just sleep all the time, sleep at day, sleep at night, sleep whenever, they should let you do that too. I think given the threats that phantoms pose especially, it seems especially weird that you can't catch up on sleep if you haven't slept in 2.5 days, but it happens to be 20 minutes before night. Just let me sleep when I want to, okay? Speaking of letting me sleep, Woolen Armour would not help with that at all, because it seems like a weird idea, but I mean, if we have all these quirky different types anyway, let's add wood armor to the game so that when you are chopping down trees and making wooden tools, you can make something to protect yourself, even if it's very little. I'd argue leather kind of fills that role, but leather is actually arguably harder to get than iron in the amount that you need for armor, so maybe some early game armor would be fun. I think another old idea that was fun was definitely woolen armor, but that's, I guess, different to wooden because it's got an L instead of a D. Speaking of things that are different, rideable spider jockeys. You know, is this one we've all had? I feel like this is one of those ideas we definitely have not all had. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong on that, because I've never heard a single person say that one before. Then we have Wireless Redstone. I think that Redstone is great and works as this really fun system, but besides tripwires, which actually aren't wireless, they're just stringed instead of wired, having a way to transmit redstone over medium to short distances would be a really good idea that we just don't have right now. But a better idea is seamless portal transitions. When you see this mod that allows you to just jump straight into a different dimension, it makes you realize how crazy and metal Minecraft really is, how you can just hop into this magic box and appear in a whole new world. I love looking at the way these portals look. It's like, again, it's surreal to look in and out of. It feels fake, but I love looking at it anyway, just like how I love looking at big salmon. But you know what's better than big salmon? Even bigger salmon. Add bigger salmon to the game, Minecraft, you cowards. And then if we're talking about mob changes anyway, a way to keep baby animals as babies is something people suggest all the time, because baby mushrooms, cuter than mushrooms. Baby chickens, cuter than chickens. Why can't we have baby animals that stay baby animals? We can keep saplings as saplings and we can stop crops growing. We should be able to do the same with babies, damn it. I think another easy idea to have would be to add more biomes to the game, because there are so many real life biomes that aren't correctly represented in Minecraft. Chalk cliffs or the rainforest or an oasis would be really fun additions that could make Minecraft more interesting. Why don't we have them right now? Just like colored lighting. I mean, in the real world we have colored lighting. Do you not believe me? Wow, guess what? I'm here in the flesh to show you, look. This is a light that is red right now, and this is adding some, oh, it's actually purple. I guess it changes by itself, but what if I made it yellow instead? Or white, I think this is. Look, I know my color. Is this orange? It's a very light orange. But you see how you can slowly change things by just, like color lighting can add so much atmosphere. Look how spooky and evil I look. This doesn't actually work like it does in TV shows. But you get the point that, like, yeah, having colored lighting would be a real fun improvement that could make your Minecraft builds so much more interesting. than they currently are. Why don't we have them? Because again, lighting physics are behind. Why are lighting physics behind? That is the thing I would like to see Minecraft address. The only thing I'd like to see more, the one I've saved for the very end of this video, is one that every time I see a village, I think, oh, we're really missing out on this, because villages are really fun now. You can trade with villagers and you build a relationship with them, which will allow you to buy better and cheaper and, you know, more interesting things like diamond tools, and it's really fun. But you know what would be way more fun is if instead of just being able to buy diamond tools as your big reward, villagers themselves would expand and grow, and you'd be able to see the village get physically richer as you sell them and buy more things of them. The commerce could make the village expand and improve, and so instead of having the same default village, you could have them slowly expand to have somewhat big sky rises, or to build a castle wall to protect themselves. I would love to see these sorts of things come, especially given that they go through so many raids and so many issues. They can't keep relying on me to fix their problems, and so I would love to see villagers actually expand. It would be a lot of fun. Why don't we have it? I don't know what the answer to that question is. But what I do know the answer to is the question, Toycat, did you really go through 50 ideas? Yes, I did. This is something that, it's a video idea I've had for a long time, because we all have these ideas that we want to share, and I just wanted to go through them so that we all know, yeah, you're not alone on that one. And in case anyone from Mojang is looking at like, well, what do people really want? Leave a comment down below saying which of these was your favorite, and also, have you ever wanted rideable spider jockeys? I don't know if we have. I feel like I should check my assistant up on that one and see see what weird communities he's been hanging out in. But also, if you like hanging out in weird communities, you might want to choose to subscribe to the channel, because I love talking about Minecraft. We do it basically every single day on this channel, and over the next coming weeks, there's going to be a lot of fun stuff coming out that you don't want to miss, and you can subscribe. Perhaps with notifications turned on, consider ringing that bell. I need a bell. You know, why don't I have a bell? Anyway, thank you for watching through my mad ramblings, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.